Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Cam Wade, and you have reached Commercial Roofing Radio. I am your new host, Cam Wade, as you can see. And what better way to take a handoff from one leader to the next of this show than, of course, Allen Mick. Everybody, let's welcome Allen Mick to the show. And thank you, Allen.
All right.
For dropping
Thank you,
this,
brother. Yeah. I mean, it felt like the right thing to do to hand it down. Nick started the tradition. Nick Perrette was obviously season 1 host and probably my personal favorite so far. That's not saying a lot because it's just me versus him, and I liked his better. But I'm really already in love with what you're doing with the show. I love the background. I love everything else. If you guys didn't watch season 2, I was the host for season 2, and now I'm handing it to Cam. I'm excited. He's doing a lot of what I was doing, but he's also, you were telling me earlier, you're adding education. You're going to walk around and do on-sites. You've got some really exciting guests that I was like, oh man, why didn't I have him on the show? That's an awesome guest. And your studio is pretty awesome. Higher quality. That's great. So thanks for having me as episode 1, man.
Yeah, this is, too cool. Last year, you and I both were in Colorado. We had rented that house, because we were working there. And what a great opportunity to have that episode that I was in there at the house that we had rented. It was just a cool environment, and to be in that and see how it's progressed and how we've interacted with everyone, whether we were at the Roofing Academy, the Commercial Roof Academy, or even just any of the events. It's just been really neat to see the history of it and what's gone on with it when it was in your hands. And yeah, I'm so excited for, what's to come in the future. I've had a few people reach out just from the episode that I was in with you, looking for direction for, large commercial claims. And I was able to get them connected with the right people that could really help them with their project. And that was really cool to feel that, man, you watched my episode that I was on, and then for him to share with me that he really cares about the commercial roofing radio, that he's learned so much, he's been introduced to so many different people that now he's connected with, he's learned from. So I just think it's a big sense of pride for me to be able to take this on. It is a lot of work. It's a big responsibility. I don't see how you could do it for the year that you did with your 2 littles and all the traveling that we do. So my hat's off to you, brother. You've done a great job. We just see the fruits of your labor within the industry. And that's why it really is fitting that, yes, you are my first guest. And
yeah, love it. Love it.
And, and that, to have you here, to ask questions to you, I get to talk to you all the time. We get to work together. And I get to see, I think one thing I get a lot of people to ask me, what's it like working with Allen Mick? And, I think one of the things I think that comes out of my mouth the most is, just when I think Allen doesn't have, I thought dude, this dude just comes out with more information. How the hell did you know that? Where is this knowledge coming from? And it's endless. It doesn't matter if it's, mergers and acquisitions, on down to the very, very elementary of building a roof system. Just your knowledge is vast, brother. And just when I think you're out of it to give me, it's just more just comes gushing out. And that's something I share with as many people as I can, because you are a wealth of knowledge. You do have such a long history in this industry in so many different aspects. It's very dynamic. And why don't you share for the people that do not know Allen Mick, how did Allen Mick get started in the roofing industry, and then of course commercial roofing world that we're in?
Wow, man, that was a great introduction. You're killing it. You're already better than me. I told you. And if it's, I need to slide in that I learn something new from you every single time I talk to you. And I think the reason why you learn so much from everybody is because you're actually open to learning. It's one of your best qualities, Cam. But How did I get into the roofing industry? How did I get all my experience? I said a few times, especially if you watch the show, but I was born into it. I didn't really have a chance. Now, there's a lot of people that are third generation, fourth generation roofers. And I've seen some people are getting offended about that term roofers, so maybe roofing contractors. But I always say, not a roofer. I was a storm chaser. I'm a third generation storm chaser. I went to 20 different schools growing up, from elementary school to high school. I think that's a lot of that made me who I am today, how I'm outgoing and personable. And I can relate to just about anybody because I've probably lived down the street from you at some point. you know, like there's no region of the country that I haven't lived in. Most states I've lived in growing up, and not just weeks, months, because we're storm chasing. But I think that's what made me who I am. And then growing up in the industry, I really fell in love with it. Um, I've got young memories of like climbing up the ladder when I was 6 years old. I've got door knocking with my dad and door knocking with my dad's friends who were our sales reps at the time. Anthony Walsh, who was on the show last season, I remember being a teenager taking all of his money at poker. I'm actually, I don't have the patience for poker anymore, but I was a very good poker player as a child. And it's probably not a good thing. Sorry, Dad. I shouldn't be advertising that you had your kids stealing money from your sales reps via the poker table. But that's what bred me, and it was crazy. And even when I got older in high school, every summer in high school, most kids would go around and have fun and do stupid shit. I would fly out to the storm, wherever it was. Most years it was Minnesota when I was in high school. And I'd be storm chasing. I'd be selling roofs. So I was doing stupid shit, living with a bunch of 40-year-olds, right? Which is probably what made me mature so fast and why I'm an old soul. But anyway, I would hang out with them. We would rent a house. I'd be the only one under 40, and we'd be storm chasing, knocking doors all day, drinking beer all night. Your typical storm chasing stuff back in the old days when it really was the school of hard knocks. I learned through that. And then, I could go on and on. I went out throughout college and everything else and just continued the career.
What was it? I guess we'll go back a little bit because I have a 16-year-old son, and your story, there's a lot of parallels.
Yeah.
I went to 15 schools plus some, bad schools for when you get kicked out of all those other schools. Was in the construction world as well. Dad, roofing as well. I didn't get to be around kind of the world of the storm chaser. My dad was, a retail guy. It wasn't really a thing yet when he had his miracle maintenance company, storm chasing. But what was that like being so young? And yes, you are right. You are an old soul. You just had a birthday, and what are you, 34 now?
33. I'm
33.
young. Yeah.
God.
I always say I'm old school because I started when I was young, not because I'm old.
Yeah, dude. And because I'm about to be 43 in March, March 14th down Win the Storm. It seems like every birthday the past, I know at least 3 years I've been working for my birthday at roofing events, but it's like I love it. It's my life. So being around, I've got a 16-year-old who's been in the roofing industry with me from day one, all the way up to what I do now, and is very interested in what we do. Tell me about what was it like being that young buck, being the boss's son most of the time, if you will, being around all those older cats. How did they treat you?
you know, some would treat me differently, in good ways and bad. I strive for independence when I was younger. I was, if you've met my mother or my father, they like to spoil us as kids, right? They really were. But I hated being spoiled because I wanted to go out, make my own money, do my own thing. If I wanted to go buy a keg of beer, I didn't want my dad or mom saying I couldn't. So it was about that freedom for me. So I strove to like go out, work, make money, and do that on my own, even though I was 16 years old, 15 years old. And I think the people that I lived with and the people that I was around, they saw that. I worked my ass off because I did have that chip on my shoulder. Daryl, my father, anybody that's worked with him will tell you he's the best salesman in roofing ever, and that's really hard to live up to when you're doing trainings and you're in the back of the room and your father's the one putting the training on, asking the questions, doing that. My uncle Marty would come in and he would put on his trainings, and most people would know that that's my uncle, but I didn't advertise it, who my father was or who my uncles were. So there were some people who had no idea, who treated me normal. And then some people, it kind of, where it helped the most was when I would ask them to go buy me beer, right? They wouldn't turn it down. Which I'm not condoning drinking 15, 16 years old, but I was, I mean, you hang out, you do it, you make a lot of life mistakes really early on. And I was blessed to be able to do that as well. So I think that's where it helped the most. It did, like, I had people like Spencer Rudenbar, right? I don't know if you know Spencer at all, but he's a legend in and of himself in the industry. And like, I would jump in the truck with him and be able to learn from him and be able to ride around. I mean, people pay in this world that we're in today. I've seen people shell out $150,000 to be in a room with these people or to have mentors. And I grew up around them, and maybe part of them wanted to impress my father by teaching me the most, but they all wanted to teach me. They all wanted to train me. They all wanted to help me. And I learned something from every single one of them. I was I'm an outgoing person because I traveled so much, but I don't think I was meant to be. I don't think that's my character inside, right? I may be more introverted, but my life made me extroverted, So it's really easy for me to shut up and listen, especially when I'm around people that I know are smarter than me or decades older than me.
Yeah, and I think that I can relate again with that too. That makes a lot of sense. Just I think probably people think I'm a huge, just outgoing person all the time. And
Yeah.
I think I'm naturally not. But I think out of necessity, when you go to 15 different schools plus and you're the new kid everywhere, there's always the few couple things that are going to happen in the first few weeks. There will be a fight. You will get in trouble. Uh,
Sorry,
and then,
mom.
yeah, and then everyone's your best friend. Uh, but because of that, there's always, using humor to overcome any negativity or bullying. That's what I, always had to do. And, so like you, it was kind of, I think, forced to become, knowing that to survive, I've got to, I've got to be able to listen and pay attention to what's going on, but also, fire back. So I'm not just, getting bullied everywhere I go. And you went to college. Where'd you go to college?
San Marcos, Texas.
Oh God,
Yeah.
dude. That's like one of my dream places that I want to
I would have lived
retire.
there. We talked
Is
about this. We need to buy
yeah,
a house
we're
on the
gonna buy a river
river.
house, bro.
We buy a river house.
I've already
So
got the kayaks, man. Like,
college was funny. Like there was that brief moment between high school and college. Well, it started with my mom raised me a lot as well. My dad was gone storm chasing or he was working in this industry, and so I had a really tough mom. She raised four boys. I had a brother who's 2 years older than me, a brother that's younger, then a half brother that's a few years older than my older brother. And so you say we grew up fighting. It was the reason why we grew up fighting was not because my father was so tough. It was because my mom was so tough. My mom, I remember it being in like first, second grade, my mother telling me and my brother that like nobody fucks with you guys. Like if anybody says anything about you or your parents or anything bad, you punch them in the face. Like, so we were taught to defend ourselves from young. And even my father, like, and my mother both, they're like, if you will be in trouble if you get in a fight and you come home and you lost. Like that was the thing. So we fought a lot. We were rowdy and everything else. But what was she? She used to always make jokes. This was probably more my Aunt Tina, if you know anything about her and Marty, that kind of makes a lot of sense, right? I should worry, I should care, I'm going to marry a millionaire was like what she would say a lot. And so I had this dream when I was younger, and I got really good grades in high school. I don't know how. I didn't study. I drank a lot, right? But I was blessed with just being pretty intelligent for my parents. So I graduated number 2 in my class. Damn. And so I got in any school that I wanted. So I applied for Pepperdine, right?
In California, dude. That
Golly,
must
dude.
do.
I was born in Palm Springs and I had never really been to California. I like the whole California idea. And but it was for women more than anything, right? I wanted to meet a trust fund chick and have her as my starter wife. That was my 16 to 18-year-old brain. And there probably was a lot of advice from those storm chasing roofers that are probably either single and lonely or married and unhappy, um, that, hey, go marry somebody, some trust fund. But my mother would not let me go that far. She's like, Alan, I'm not going to pay for your college if you leave the state of Texas.
Mm.
So without even visiting Texas State, all I had ever done was floated the river. And I never visited the college, never did one of the walkthroughs. I'm like, well, if I'm not going to go for that, then I'm going to go to party. So I looked up the number one party school in Texas. It was on like Playboy rankings. It was on like number one place to party. And that's what I chose. So,
Dude,
um,
great choice.
yeah, I knew what I was gonna do, right? I didn't want to, but I knew in the back of my mind I couldn't. I couldn't beat it. So at that time, when I went to college, I was like, I'm gonna go learn something new, go to business school, go do something else,
So
and
you knew that in the back of your heart and your mind, you knew that the roofing path was your way, and for
yeah,
a little
yeah,
bit, I'm gonna go out there and just have some fun though.
yeah. That's
do
pretty
this
much what it
do
is.
this college thing, man. You picked one hell of a school. That place, I have so many memories when I was in a band. Growing up in Arlington, Texas, not far from Waxahachie, where you grew up. Um, just
Walks a
driving
hatchet.
down Waxahachie. Yeah, I've got some. I've been doing some research on Waxahachie.
All
I almost
right.
I almost moved there. I
Oh,
love that town, dude. It's beautiful. It's so cool. Historic little Texas town, bro. It's the
I love
best.
it.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. They're a little too proud of their shit now. Every
No.
freaking house is just ridiculously priced, but they're
Yeah.
gorgeous and they really have reshaped that place. Well, let's bounce over to what this show is about, and it's commercial roofing. Both of us started in the world of residential. My understanding. What where in your life and in your career did your focus go into commercial? How did your interest get into that, and what was it about the commercial? I could tell you what mine was, um, but what was it that, and still, that keeps you interested in the dynamicness of commercial roofing?
Well, it probably started with my competitiveness, and yeah, I always wanted to be the best. I always wanted to sell the most. I topped the leaderboards everywhere I went. I started out when I was the 16 and stuff like that. I was either a door knocker or permit runner, which is about the bottom of the barrel. We would never allow us to get on the roof and do roofs because we were awful. So I couldn't start there. So the bottom of the barrel was door knocking. So I worked my way up from that. I got lucky and I trained with Spencer Rutenbar and a guy named Nathan Hearn or Thane Hearn. And they were big commercial guys. And so I remember going with them. My father was always a big commercial guy. So when I first started out, I actually learned commercial really early on. And I probably attribute that to a lot of my success in residential, just because I treated every residential property like a commercial property. Um, so throughout my career, I would go out and sell. And if anybody, I don't believe anybody that says they love door knocking. I just don't believe it. You could lie to yourself and lie to your friends, but don't lie to me, right? But door knocking sucks, and it's just so much time. And so I was like, man, how do I sell more? I started to get really granular with like tracking my hours, tracking my days, tracking my doors, and I'm like, man, I hit this cap because I mean back then roofs were not $50,000, $20,000. You're talking $7,000 roofs,
Yeah.
and I mean work in nice neighborhoods. I get lucky to get up to 20, 25K. So it was hard, but I realized working the nicer neighborhoods that wow, hey, it takes the same amount of time to sell one job that's bigger. So I focused on high end residential. And then that's where I turned to commercial. It's like, man, what am I doing slaving away on these doors? Bang, 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 dealing with homeowners that are mad I walk through their grass or that that bring up things around their house. Like when I would do inspections. So I guess the first piece to it is that you can sell bigger jobs and you can sell more and you make more money. And
Mhm.
at that age, any money was a lot of money. I didn't have bills. I didn't have anything like that. So it was less for the money and more for the competitiveness of being number one on the sales. So that was my first reason. But then as I went through and started selling commercial, I noticed that dealing with business owners is
Mhm.
much better than dealing with homeowners.
Yeah.
Um, I'm a
Most
homeowner myself, right? I own property. You would much rather work on my business's properties than work on my home. I'm just gonna be. This is where my kids live. This is where my wife lives. This is where I sleep every day. I'm going to be picky.
Mhm.
And people don't inspect their property as much as they think. So it's the little stuff. Like when we make a mistake, I'm all for, be a Karen, right? I'll bend over backwards. But it's like the stuff where I take inspections, all pictures all over the house. And especially when I notice something's wrong, a broken piece of siding, a dent in gutter or something that doesn't look right. Obviously, hail didn't damage it, but it looks like it's something roofers could do. So I would take a picture before we started on the roof. And then that way, 9 times out of 10, that homeowner would come complain and say, this right here, you guys did this. You're going to have to buy me new siding. It's like,
Yeah.
no, I'm sorry. This has actually happened before. You don't get that with businesses.
Mhm.
You get a professionalism. It's their property. They pay attention to it. They have maintenance men. They treat it like a business and they understand when things happen, mistakes happen in life, mistakes definitely happen in construction. Murphy's Law, what can go wrong will go wrong. And they know that, they get that, they understand that. They're reasonable, they're great to deal with. So those are my two main reasons.
Right on. Well, what would you say today with we've got now, thank God, we've got multiple ventures that are out there that are offering really, good commercial training. Um, and we're friends and connect with a lot of them. And in fact, I'm a student of as many of them as I find. Uh, but the thing, luckily that wasn't around back then.
Oh,
People openly like, "Hey, let me teach you everything, that's made me successful, and here's a blueprint of how to do it." And of course, today you get there's you've got the whole guru term that gets thrown out there. Everyone bashes on people that are trying to teach you how to be better, which I call bullshit on. You
yeah,
know, in fact, as a weapons instructor, I remember after in the army and then going to train civilians and shit. They taught you that the best way to learn something is to teach something.
yeah,
And especially if there's a book for it, if there's a training manual, just like with teachers, most teachers, you know they're just reading out of a syllabus and going down everything. It's not coming from their you know their head of experience. um so now that we do have all of this, and there is, you don't want to go spend, like you said, you can go spend 60 grand trying to learn from some fake ass
yeah,
guru who really their main intention is just to get your money, and you get pissed and drop them. They don't care, or you forget you're even doing the reoccurring monthly spend there. With a membership, there are those out there, but I think those are so much easier to see. But what would you say, like, if a guy that's like, I'm tired of knocking doors and being a residential guy, and there's nothing wrong with residential. People always, are going to need the residential homes, and I've got buddies who do nothing but residential and literally bring home $1 million every year. Bring
yeah,
home. But of course, they're swinging those little Luisi roofs for the fences. Doing 20 roofs or whatever in a year instead of 200, and it makes sense for them. But how would you, or what do you say to the guy who's wanting to go from residential into commercial? How do they bite that off without feeling like, "Oh, am I gonna go waste a bunch of money,
yeah,
to
yeah.
get attached of a guru?" Because we do have some good stuff out there now. What are your thoughts?
Well, this is how long do we have, right? This is a topic that I really love to talk about training in general, right? And I go all the way back to the industry as a whole, right? This industry, the last 5, 10 years, has been in this probably 15 years. It's been in this rapid expansion phase, right?
Mhm,
And it happens for so many reasons. One, less regulation around being a storm chaser, being a roofer, doing these things. I think that's a big part of it. It's really easy to open a roofing company, right? I mean, you don't need much unless you're in Florida, but anywhere else, it's really easy. So, And then the money that it costs is small in comparison to what you make as a salesperson.
Mhm.
Most people also run that 10-50-50 sales platform, which allows that salesperson to learn the entire business or what they think is the entire business. And I'll get into that at some point, maybe. But they think they could do it, and I love ambition. I never want to push ambition down, but because of that, this industry has expanded so quickly that you have
Mhm.
sales reps that have worked for 3 months or 6 months, probably haven't even collected all their money on jobs, and but they got 50 grand in their pocket. I want to make all the money. I'm tired of splitting money with somebody that doesn't help me. And again, not hating on the ambition, but they go out and open their own roofing company, and they didn't spend the time to learn as much as they should have. I was, I'll say again and again, I was blessed by my upbringing in the roofing industry. I didn't just work for one; I worked for three different nine-figure companies. And whether that's from the bottom or all the way up at leadership, vice president and things like that. And I learned so much. We had sales managers, we had salesmen that were top guys going out doing, millions a year that I got to learn from. We had commercial gurus, like all of these people worked for the company. So instead of paying 50 or $150,000 to be around these people, I got a paycheck every week. So it's this weird thing. Like I got paid to learn. So I think my number one way is go back to the basics. If you want to get into commercial and let's say you own a residential roofing company, um, and you want to get into commercial, let's use Paul Reed as an example, right? Paul Reed has Commercial Roofing Academy. I love. Like if you're going to go to a roofing academy, that's a commercial academy. That's one of my favorites out there. First one that comes to mind. But I would rather personally go work for Paul Reed as a
Mhm.
salesperson where he pays me weekly and fat commercial, checks because of my commissions, then go pay him to work at his academy, right?
Mhm.
I mean, that's just common sense. Get paid to learn. And you don't have to shut down your residential roofing company because you're working for a commercial roofing company. You can do both. There's many businesses out there that allow you to go sell commercial for them and use their platform, use their portfolio, use their professionalism, and most
Mhm.
importantly, their production to get the job done. And still, so that is my first way to do it. And there's not enough people doing that. Like, come on, guys, get paid to learn. Don't pay to learn. Get
Yeah,
paid.
I only know a handful, and those handful of individuals, they still fly under someone else's banner. They still have their hometown LLC, and they, like you said, they operate. But to get that reach, to use their portfolio, to use all of their um, licensing across the country, they can go anywhere in any state pretty much, and they kill it. And it's but not every business is going to let you do that because maybe they're not educated enough to understand that, hey, this would actually be a really good thing for you.
Yeah.
So that's good. That's some really good advice.
And now,
What
as far as other ones, like obviously I mentioned Commercial Roofing Academy. If you're serious about, hey, I just want to learn it quick, I want to pay. First, do it all, right?
Mhm.
I'm never one that says, on the other hand, right? I see all sides of this. I don't want to say that like, oh man, screw these guys going out taking their money, because even the worst guru, you can pick something up from.
Yeah.
You know, if you're open to it and you're willing to learn and you actually do the work that they usually it's work to learn, right? It's not
Mhm.
easy. We all went to high school, hopefully, but it's not easy to learn. You've got to pay attention. You've got to study. You've got to go to the class. You've got to do the movements and put in the work to actually learn. But pay the money and go to them all. Commercial Roofing Academy is the first that comes to mind because it's Commercial Roofing Academy.
Mhm.
But there's other ones out there. Your good friend Cody Klein. I have not had as much experience with Cody Klein because I haven't been through all of that. But you swear by him, and if you swear by him, I swear by him. So
Yeah, it's
it's
got
that simple.
some really good info out there. Um,
And then I
yeah,
have
and
one more. One more.
let's hear it.
Jason Berg is opening up
Yeah.
his. Right?
Dude,
So
I've been studying some of his stuff actually. You sent me a really cool slide deck. That dude's got a lot to offer.
yeah,
It's so many questions I get especially about master service agreements. I get that one every freaking day. How,
Yep.
you know, how do you, what does one look like? How do you even sell that? How do you pre-sell? How do you, all those things? And I just send them like, go to Jason, dude. That guy will, uh,
Jason Quibbit. Yeah. Or Jason Berg. Sorry. Yeah.
Berg, yeah, Jason Berg, man, that dude. Well, and Jason Quimby's a freaking,
Freaking nature as well.
freak of
Yeah.
nature genius. But yeah, Berg, man, he's got some damn good information. That would be a guy I
Yeah.
would go to delve into that world and to grow within it for sure. And yeah, the reads and over there, that's a great idea for anybody. Yeah, go get a damn job with the Reeds if you want to learn commercial.
Paycheck.
Yeah,
Yeah.
get a paycheck. Go to their academy. I've been to their
Yeah.
academy a few times. I will
It's
continue to
great.
go. I learned something every time. And I know a lot of people, especially recently with the whole changing of guard with Wind This Storm that's coming up, which I'm excited about. And I'm not going to
Yeah.
lie, the last one I went to, I was pissed
It's going to
and
be the
I
last one.
wanted to, I wanted to laugh, but that's just me being a human that sometimes, gets, I guess, pleasure out of asshole, I should probably watch that, but whatever. I hated the environment that was surrounded by it. And I think so many other people were, but I'm so excited about the new avenue it's going down and who's included in on that. And I know some people, they, don't get the whole, whether it's a roof con or any other convention that's within our industry, they don't get them. They don't like them. They want to talk about fake gurus and this and that. Man, I don't. Of course, I've seen a few at these shows, but for the most part, all I see is very professional people that I make connections with that last a lifetime. And I learned, like Jason Berg, I met through these
Yeah.
shows and have learned so much from him. Just the people you will run into and be able to break bread with on a whim and not really realize who you're sitting next to and what a wealth of knowledge they have and how open they are to just, yeah, what's your email address? And sent me stuff that's like, damn, this is so valuable. You just giving this away. Like, dude. So I'm always trying to share it. So that's one thing I want to encourage people for sure to do with this show. And something
Yeah.
I'm
You can
going to
get
be,
commercial roofing knowledge from the shows. Yeah.
yeah, man.
I
Just
forgot to mention them.
yeah, the material, that's something I will definitely add. If you want to know commercial roofing, you've got to know the products, and there are so
Yeah.
many of them. There's so many. It's science, literally. Each and every one of these products has so much science built into them to make them to what they are, and it's come from nothing to something spectacular with science. That delving into it can be a lot of fun. It can be overwhelming, uh, but you will notice when you start regurgitating that smart shit, people start listening and
Yeah.
you can make some big changes in your life. So commercial roofing has been a game changer for me in my life. Look at me now. I'm literally the host of a commercial roofing radio, and it's because of commercial roofing changed my life.
It does.
And I
Yeah.
want that for everyone. And I don't know. I think like you were right. This is my first episode. My batteries run and go low. I need to get one of those built-up batteries, the dummy batteries, so I can go forever. But I did want to move on to our next segment, which is one that you had already been created, and I love it. And it's Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? And I'm probably going to botch this first one, but I've got some notes here. I'm going to ask you a few questions. I've done a little research about your beautiful town of Waxahachie.
Oh, walks
Um,
at you.
yeah. So here we go. Without further ado, and I want to say thank you, Alan. I love you, bro. Thanks for being on the show. Thanks for giving me the just the duty and having the trust of this responsibility because it's something I take seriously. I take our industry so seriously. I'm in love with it and the people that are attached to it. Um, I'm never going to leave it. So I'm just so happy to be here. And without further
Good.
ado, let's see how badly I can screw this up. All right, buddy.
Love it.
You are from my beautiful state of Texas, Waxahachie, Texas. I don't even think I say that right. And I'm from the damn state, and it's only about 45 minutes from me. But here we go. Here's a
Not
first
bad.
question for you. Lake Waxahachie.
Okay.
It was built in 1958 off of Old Prong Creek. It's a tributary of the Trinity River. The disgusting Trinity River that we love
Yeah.
so much. Well, with that being said, how many acres is that lake?
Ooh.
I- Is it
Ooh.
A, 656 acres? Or is it B, 2,062 acres? C, 323 acres? Or is it D, 1,243 acres?
All right.
Now you can reach out
Uh,
to whoever you want. If you want to call Cassie upstairs, if she's done wrangling the kids, and ask her, maybe she
oh,
can
she's
help.
got no idea. She doesn't even know what an acre is. Come on now. Love you, honey.
She's gonna
Right.
kill you.
Sorry. But okay, Waxahachie Lake, which is funny because we used to I had no idea it was a tributary of Trinity because it is gross. It's a nasty lake. And now that makes sense. Like that's why it's nasty. There's probably dead bodies all floating in there and everything else. Um, we used to make fun of how small it is. Like, oh, it's not a lake, And now I'm in Denver, and I'm like, wow, it's bigger than all the lakes out here. So right away, I'm going to get rid of the 1,000+ acres, the
All right.
two that are big ones. So it's either 600 or 300, and this is a tough one. My aunt and uncle have a 600-acre ranch right down the street from Waxahachie Lake. So, and I've driven all around that, and that seems to be bigger than Waxahachie Lake. So I'm going to go with the 300-acre one, and that is my final answer.
Final answer.
Yep.
You'd be wrong.
Come on.
Sorry, buddy. All right. I mean, your rationale and picking, you're very close.
Yeah.
It's 656.
Oh man, there you go.
Cue the applause. All right, let's move on to the next one if we have some time here before it dies. In the late 1980s, Waxahachie had 336 businesses, including the Waxahachie Daily Light and Radio Station, and it got a new nickname during that time because of the beautiful, it's just a beautiful city. So let me just real quick. It's got a nickname that was created around the 80s. Is that nickname called Cotton County? Is the nickname Wax and Hatchet Capital of the United States? Or is the nickname the Texas Toast Capital of the United States? Or is it the last one here, the Crepe Myrtle Capital of the United States?
Oh, I was hoping you said gingerbread because I would have went for that. So it's either cotton or crepe myrtle. Let's go crepe myrtle. Final answer. Just
Bing,
gonna
bing,
wing it.
bing, 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 bing. Which you were kind of right on a couple of different things.
Yeah.
Yes, it is named Gingerbread City because of the incredible architecture. And the revival of all those homes are just incredible. And those are the ones that they're charging, $1 million for.
$1 million. Yep.
For like 600 square feet.
Yep.
How cute it is. But yeah, Gingerbread City, because those homes are incredible. And yes, it's the Crepe Myrtle capital of the world.
Love it.
Yeah. If you haven't visited there, you really do need to take a visit. Texas is definitely known for a lot of their 1800 to 1900 towns that were built in that era, from Granbury, a cute, really quaint town,
Granbury.
to Waxahachie's. The downtown area is really neat, really quaint. So many shops, antique shops, restaurants, and the old buildings are still there and look great. So yeah, beautiful town. Man, what a beautiful time, brother. I appreciate you being here.
I love it.
And yeah, we're going to be mixing this up. I'm going to be driving and flying to different locations, doing interviews, like this online as well as in person, and then doing job site visits. And just really opening it up. We've got some really exciting guests coming up this season that I'm excited about. I know you are too. So again, brother, I just want to thank you for being on Commercial Roofing Radio, for dropping this honor in my lap, and I'm just glad I said yes.
Yeah, man. Thank you for taking that torch. I'm a fan now. I'm going to be a big fan. I'm going to watch everyone. I'm excited about it. I was thinking maybe the mini episodes that we do at the events and stuff, I can jump in and help with. So you may see me guest host on that. But other than that, I appreciate you having me on the show. I can't wait to see where it goes, man. Let's go.
Yeah, brother. I'm excited about it, man. I appreciate you again. And hey, guys, everyone, stay tuned. the Commercial Roofing Radio. It's adapting, it's evolving. We're getting
Season
better, cooler.
3.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Allen. Everyone have a blessed day, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you.